All right, and we're going live right now. 3, 2, 1. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Welcome to the Ummahpreneur live podcast, where I interview Muslim entrepreneurs at the top of their game. And today I have none other than Sister Marta Maryam Rosza. And I really want to introduce to you this wonderful, successful sister who's been a CEO of international organizations and startups for the last 17 years. So definitely a veteran in the industry, more than I am, much more experience and much more knowledge. And we'll take that knowledge and share it with you today. And during that time, I just want to share with you, she's fulfilled many roles, including operations, business strategy, branding, financial management, marketing, hiring, and so much more. She's really done almost everything you can do in a business. And her latest project is Noor Zafir. And this is a modern Muslim lifestyle marketplace, which curates a number of Muslim lifestyle brands and products on a single platform. Marta, thank you for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for inviting me. It's really a pleasure. It has been, I've always been a great a fan of your podcast. So I'm just extremely happy to be one of your guests. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course.
And,
it's a pleasure.
Amazing introduction. I feel very humbled when I just, hear somebody telling so many good things about me. I mean, I've done a couple of things in my life. Yes, that's true. And I've always, taken things as they came. And definitely what I found very challenging, things that I found challenging, those were usually the projects, the organizations that I felt really, fell in love with, and I started working with them. And for them, so that was always something that I was very much attracted to, something like the unknown, something that there was a problem and that needed to be solved.
That's beautiful.
That was a kind of like the.
Yeah, that's what entrepreneurship boils down to, isn't it? Really.
The end of the day, yes, because you have to always solve problems and you have to figure things out. So bottom line, this is what you have to do, and you are 24/7. Busy with it, so there's no day off.
That's true, 100%. It's like your business is your child, essentially. And I want to ask you the first thing that I ask every single guest that joins, and it helps us get connected with the guests more and also know more about them. Is I want you to share what is it that inspired you to take the journey of entrepreneurship versus having a career and working for someone else or other companies.
I think this is not a choice. You are or you aren't an entrepreneur, because if you feel comfortable with a career, then most probably that's what you do. But if you don't feel comfortable with it, then probably you do something else. And then usually you end up, inventing your own businesses and joining other businesses and helping them, set things up. And that's the entrepreneurial path, which is, I think it's for sure it's written, I don't think we have a lot of choice in this.
100%. What was your first experience with that? Did you before have a career and then decide, I don't want to do this, I want to go into business? Or did you always know, this is, I'm going to start a business from a young age?
No, I was not born into business managers or business family at all. I have started, I had a career, and I was growing very fast. And I think one of the biggest companies I worked for in the Netherlands was an IT company, and it was in the top years of IT. I made an amazing career very fast, and then suddenly I was one of the few female leaders in a small male team of leaders, and then suddenly I just felt like, I know I can do it, but do I really like it? Do I really, really like it? And the answer was no. This is not what I would really dream about, every day. I'm sure there's a lot of things that we can do, but at the end of the day, you want to do something that, creates a change, and you feel that all the knowledge you have makes sense, and you can use it in order to create that change. And within an organization, even if you're in a leadership position, you are one of the many, even if it's just the one of a handful. But you're not alone, and your decision is not that impactful. You have to always deal with politics, deal with, everything that has, goes with an organization as such. And I think that was not my nature at all. I kind of like the more adventurous types to hang out with as well. Also the ones who had bold ideas, who kind of came with really crazy ideas, and then suddenly I would think, okay, let's try to figure out like how can we do this. And then, you know, my brain started working, and then I started to think about starting to create the puzzle, and then starting to reach out in my network, starting to build my network so that you can, you know, make the impossible possible, because that was actually the only thing that was really interesting for me.
That's amazing to hear. That's usually what happens. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, please continue.
No, I just wanted to say, like, this is, I think for every entrepreneur is the same. This is what you do, because you kind of like, you just end up in this, I don't know, but I want to do it.
Yeah.
Kind of mental state. And then you will have to use all the knowledge, all your skills to make sure that you get there.
Yeah. And I think, to be honest with you, that's really what the journey is about, is that no one starts off knowing what they need to know to grow their business. I think we all have to figure it out along the way. And that's part of the beauty of the journey. And I really think being an entrepreneur, it's not about the business you create. It's about the person you become through that journey, based on the things that you have to learn and the challenges that you face. So can definitely relate to that. Now, I want to ask you, sister, what has been the inspiration behind now creating your latest project of Nour and Zafir? What inspired you to create this?
Several things. When I had my first chat with you, I told you that I was not born Muslim. So I think that is the one of the things when you kind of enter a new world. Literally, I entered this new world of Islam and everything with it. You know, so there's so many things I had to learn. There's so many things that I had to figure out. I had to change. I had to, you know, deep inside, I didn't have to change anything. I think that was the good part. But there were some practical things, and there were, for example, dresses. I was suddenly going, you know, I was looking for dresses, but something that I really liked, and not dresses that I thought like, this is from a previous generation, and I don't fancy it. I would not put it on or anything like that. And then suddenly I started looking to other kind of products, other kind of things for daily life. And then I figured out that there's not so many out there. And that was maybe back 10 years ago. Since then, a lot has changed, because a lot of amazing new companies have been born. They have came up with amazing ideas where you have the crossover of, you know, let's say modernity, but with a big influence of Islam, with, keeping the Islamic values, but with a beautiful look, beautiful design, literally tailored for the modern lifestyle. And it doesn't matter where you come from, it is very suitable and very appealing. So suddenly, you know, back then these products were hardly to be found. And then I started looking for them, and I started looking for the companies and started looking for other people. Do they have the same kind of thing that they cannot find what they're looking for? And I found many other people who had the same problem. And then I started looking into the market, you know, do Amazon sell it, or, you know, or is it on Alibaba, or, you know, are there any companies, are there any other companies doing it? So I did a huge research. I've studied literally the global market, and I also came up with the idea, I think I should be the one doing it. And I'm sure there are other people who have done it and who have tried it and who are doing it. But the special thing about our platform, nourzafir.com, is that we have a curated quality modern Muslim lifestyle products. We want to go for the quality, and we also want to go for products that are definitely made by Muslims. So whenever you buy a product, you're also supporting another Muslim business. So your money goes back to the Ummah, and you make that other family, that other business grow. And if we all do that together, then there's a lot of businesses, you know, growing at the end of the day. And this is, I think, also the responsibility. This is even beyond charity, you know, because when you give zakat is one thing, but this is literally you're growing from within, you're growing the community. And I think this is also our responsibility.
100%. And I think that's also part of what we do with our movement of nurturing Muslim entrepreneurship, and why it's so important, because through entrepreneurship, we can grow these businesses that support our community and that support the changes that we want to see in the world, essentially, and really drive a change for good. And there's a few things that you mentioned that I wanted to touch upon that I think we're all curious to hear about. And before I touch upon what you mentioned about your brand, I want to touch upon your story about becoming a Muslim, because I think every single person loves to hear the story behind how someone became a Muslim, why they became a Muslim. So can you briefly just share with us, what is it that actually, drove you to research and discover Islam, and what made you decide to join and be a Muslim, essentially?
I think, I really feel very shy when I have to talk about this. I tell you true, and I'm not a shy person, but I feel this is such an intimate thing as well. It's such a personal choice. It's an inner path that you're following. It is, I can almost say it's nobody else's business, which is absolutely true. But at the same
100%.
time, I do like to share it with other Muslims, because, but anyway, so where did I start and how the journey started? I think it's, I've been working with a lot of Muslims, prior to becoming a Muslim, and I've been working in arts, been surrounded always with Muslim, non-Muslim artists as well. I've been looking into the second generation European Muslims, the arts that they were creating. We were organizing festivals and events around that. We were organizing also a festival where you had the overview of the contemporary performing arts from all Arabic countries plus Iran. And so I traveled a lot in the region, in the Middle East. I traveled and I was surrounded by a lot of Muslims, where it was for them like such a natural thing to be Muslim, but there was something always that intrigued me. And then later on, I met my husband, who was born Muslim. And through him, I embraced Islam. So through him, I met a lot of teachers. I learned a lot. I'm still at the very beginning of that journey, because so much to learn and so much to discover. I actually, I don't even know what else to say, but I just want to say that I'm so happy that it happened to me. I was not religious before at all. It was, but it was not new to me being religious, because I went to a religious school, high school. So actually, I was always surrounded by people who were deeply believers, and I had always like an admiration for some of my good friends who were deeply religious, and I always, they were very clever, very rational, very intelligent, and very religious at the same time, and it kind of always, I think many people think like once you're, science, religion is opposite. I mean, science is opposite to religion and rationalism is opposite to religion, but not necessarily. And I have known people from other religions who have, who had that both. And that I always find, I think just, I find all of them very rich somehow, and there was a depth to everything they did. And there was this very strong, I don't even know how to say it, but like in their character, there was something invincible,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes through strong belief that it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what's happening around you. It's all fine. And it's all in the hands of Allah. And it's all in the hands of somebody a lot bigger than you. And you just have to, follow the journey that is given to you and believe.
100%, definitely. And I think faith is, it's funny because a lot of entrepreneurs, once they go through this journey and once they build businesses, I feel like entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs in general, there's this common theme that I see between entrepreneurship and faith. And even when people don't necessarily, even if it's not for Islam, embracing Islam or being a Muslim, a lot of entrepreneurs that could be even Christians or Jewish or from other faiths will at some point or another find faith to be a part of their lives through their journey of entrepreneurship and an essential part of their lives. And I think even for people who don't necessarily follow a religion, they gravitate towards something, whether it's a universal consciousness or whatever term they want to attribute to it. But they they always tend to fall back on a certain belief, because I feel like with entrepreneurship, there is just so much unknown, and there is always so much happening and so many challenges that you face, that you really have no choice but to have some sort of faith. Because if you don't have faith, then what do you have to keep you going on this journey, right? And I think that's so important. Please go for it.
No, I totally agree with you, and I think it's not it's again, you feel very small. You feel very small. You know that you can do it, but it's not you doing it. You just put everything, one step and another step and another step within your capacities, but somebody's guiding you. There is something else, because how would you know?
Yeah, and you truly feel that, and you truly feel the concept of risk when it comes to being an entrepreneur and a business owner, where you really feel like, wow, when you land a client, when something happens, like, wow, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like God has granted me this risk, has granted me this providence from him. And you truly feel that. When I used to work a job, I didn't really feel it, like that concept, because it's like that paycheck's coming in at the end of the 2 weeks and it's kind of automated and it's all good. But when you're kind of working so hard and you're like, God, please, like, let me just land this one client. I need it for this month. And then it happens and you're like, and you're so thankful. You truly feel that. You feel like providence comes from God, right? And you really experience that in your life in a different way, I feel, as an entrepreneur. And it really, for me personally, at least, I feel like it has served to strengthen my faith very much. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think I think gratitude is, again, a very important one, throughout the journey of entrepreneurship, because you know that there is nothing you own. There is nothing at the end of the day, is nothing you have. And whatever that comes in your path, you have to be very grateful for that.
Yeah, definitely. And that falls into what you do with Nour and Zafir as well. And let's bring this all back full circle, which is you've decided to create a marketplace, a platform for these Muslim business brands, for these Muslim products, these lifestyle products, versus creating your own and deciding, I want to start my own thing and I want to get my own sourcing and suppliers and my own brand. You decided, let me support others. Let me support other brands and bring them all on a platform. What drove that decision versus creating your own? Because you have the experience to create your own.
Exactly. But I have always, to tell you the truth, I've always been a facilitator. I have always been someone who likes to bring things together and who likes to make sure that needs are fulfilled somehow. So I think it's, again, in my nature. That's just my path, simply. So it was not even something that I had to make a choice between whether I'm going to create my own brand, creating my own products, or facilitating in this sense. It was just, for me, not even a question. It was, for me, the question of how am I going to bring that all together? Because there's a lot of Muslim consumers looking for products, and there's a lot of Muslim brands looking to market their products. So I was just looking at one side and the other side, and then how to bring that together.
Yeah, and I think really that is the truest form of supporting the community and supporting other brands, when you try to actually find a way to create a platform to support these businesses versus trying to be just another competitor. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you're thinking bigger picture, and that's always inspiring to see. And do you feel through that we need to promote and nurture entrepreneurship as Muslims in the Muslim Ummah? Do you feel like this is something that maybe is lacking, that we need to encourage a little bit more?
Okay, so maybe I can tell you a lot about the people that I met during this journey within the Muslim community, because obviously there's a lot of brands out there, and I've been talking to a lot of founders of these brands. And I have also discovered that there are a lot of young people. There's a lot of women amongst them, whether they started with babies crying and they're running between the business and their babies in the house, or it's it's combining, especially now in COVID time. I think everybody's working from home, so it's kind of a challenge for everybody to manage the business and the private life. But there are a huge group of young people who are empowering actually each other, and they are the ones behind these new brands. Yeah. And I am so happy to see that, because I think this is when you say that's the spirit, because this is the only way to make change.
Yeah, definitely. And you're serving to nurture that. And I want to ask you, with your perspective, because this is something that we do, Ummahpreneur, this is literally the reason behind our existence, nurture entrepreneurship in the Muslim Ummah. And I want to ask you, as as entrepreneurs, the Muslims that you found, do they all have a certain quality in common that you feel should be encouraged? Do they have something that maybe a certain fire, a certain inner passion that should be nurtured, that deserves to be grown and taken care of? I want to get your perspective on that.
It's a difficult one because, I mean, I might not meet everybody. So obviously I cannot, draw the very, very big picture. I can just, have just a slice of the cake, what I've seen, and look at that. What I have seen is that there are a lot of people with new ideas. There are many people, I think many people have had a career, even for a short time, worked with a big company, and that's where they learned how to do certain things. And they have decided to put that knowledge into something that is closer to their heart and closer to their own religion. Usually it has been, I think I hear it from many people, like in their previous jobs, they have always been surrounded by people who were not Muslims. So being a Muslim for them, it was like not even, you were invisible, you're invisible, and because you're invisible, you are not fully in it. But when you can do something which is connected 100% with you as a Muslim, and you're creating, for example, a product, or you're creating a business or a service, whatever kind of business that is, and it is for Muslims, and you can just be who you are, literally, I think that is very empowering for all Muslims in general.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've seen from other entrepreneurs, that they have felt a kind of like relief when they have also realized that I can do it this way. But this is not the easy way. So they have also chosen a way that, you have to build up your business, and you have to struggle, and you might not might not earn a lot of money, and maybe your idea is not the one, but you have to figure it out. You have to keep on working on it and improving it until you get it. So I think that's a journey for many. What I've also heard from people, that some people had experiences that they had previous jobs, and in those jobs they could be 100% the professional, but not combining with who they were, and that the lack of that was always bothering them somehow. And with some people, something personal happened to them, and that made them change their mind and say, like, okay, now it's time to move on and leave this behind and start something which is more related to me being a Muslim.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly the biggest thing that I listen to as well, and that I hear when speaking to Muslim entrepreneurs that want to start businesses. And we get on these conversations, we get on these calls, and I ask them the question of, how long have you been thinking of starting a business? What is the purpose behind starting a business for you? And a lot of them, I was just talking to a sister yesterday, and she was telling me about how she works in the fashion industry. And, even though she was in a high position, she worked with other colleagues who, when it came to pitching a client, would be able to join that meeting. But because she wore the hijab, she was never invited to join the meeting. Her boss would just present her work for her. And I don't know if they wanted to maintain a certain image or whatnot, but these things do happen. They're very real, and they still happen to this day. And so a lot of people get fed up. A lot of Muslims get fed up, and they realize, well, if there's no space for me in this company, then I'm going to create my own. And there is a pro and con to that. The pro is, yes, you make your own rules. The con is, be ready for a very tumultuous and challenging journey. It will be very rewarding, more than you can ever imagine, but it will also be harder than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's also 24/7, and you are your own boss, but you are also your worst enemy. So It's everything in one. So that's definitely something. But I think what I have also heard from a lot of Muslim entrepreneurs is that finding something that can give space for their Muslim identity is already such a relief, for many of them. And obviously, if you have the great business idea, you will manage, and you will be able to grow your company, and then make it a success. But even if the ones who, for whatever reason, they might not be the entrepreneurs who they thought they were, they would learn things. And if you would go back to any career, I think you will take that definitely with you. So taking the knowledge of you can really be yourself, and you can just be the religious yourself, or you can just be the spiritual yourself, or you can just be the Muslim yourself, whatever that might be, with all the contradictions around you. I think, that's definitely a lesson from entrepreneurship, because that's, and if you're an entrepreneur, then, and if you just keep on going, then obviously you will learn a lot more. And you will see the challenges of it again, but then from a different side. It's not now, this time is not because you're Muslim, you will have the challenges, but you will have other challenges that are maybe not even related to being Muslim, but just because you're running a business, simply.
Yeah, definitely. Challenges that we all experience on a daily basis. And I want to ask you, Sister Marta, because you've started and grown many companies before as CEO. And I want to ask you, in your opinion, what is the most important quality that a successful entrepreneur should have or should strive for?
I think diligence. I always wanted to say it's not true, but it is very true. I think you just have to keep on doing. Keep on doing it. You have to be very diligent, and you have to keep the faith. You have to, reflect on the thing. You have to, correct yourself continuously. You have to be very flexible. You have to make sure that you learn from your mistakes. You are very critical with yourself, with your mistakes. You surround yourself always with people who know a lot more than yourself. They can help you grow. So those are definitely. And at the same time, I think as an entrepreneur, you have there is a certain amount of luck that has to be on your path.
Yeah.
That has always, be a little bit of a question for me. Is that luck, or what is it? I think we can leave it there.
Yeah.
Is it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guiding us, and he's showing us the way, and he's revealing what has to be revealed at the moment that it has to be revealed, or we just call it luck,
Yeah, definitely. And some people call it luck, some people call it providence, some people call it whatever they want to call it. But we all know as Muslims, that everything that happens is written for you, and it's part of your journey, and there's a purpose behind it all. And I think that also creates some reassurance as Muslims, that through it all, life is happening for you, not to you, right? And through everything that happens, there's a lesson to be had. Now, I want to ask you a question, and this one is more for me, so I'm going to be a little bit selfish with this one, because having a team to support you on your mission as a business owner is so important, right? And even with Noor and Zafir, you've created a wonderful team, mashallah, and you guys have a full lifestyle market, Muslim lifestyle marketplace, and you also are working on creating a magazine, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now, I want to ask you, before we talk about those things, in terms of building the team, what is it that you look for when you're making those hiring decisions? When you're making those decisions based on who you should choose to help you on your journey as an entrepreneur, to help you accomplish your business mission?
Just very simply, the right people, the people who are true, who are honest, and who are with you. I think that's the most important. They can be very knowledgeable, but they will not stick with you. They can be very egoistic and absolutely professionals. Those are not the ones you're looking for. You have to look for true people. And those are the people who you will stay with, and they will stay with you as well. It's like you create your family somehow. You create the people and the culture. This is what they usually say, that the business culture is dictated by the ones who are in the leadership position. So if you nurture your people, you will have, the good team. If you're not nurturing your team, whoever you have, they will leave you, or they will cheat on you, or they will fail. Mm-hmm. And you will fail the company, and you will, so they will not be a success. So whatever you do, I think team, as you said, I think it's one of the most essential things, the choice of people who you work with. First of all,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Like I'm just one thing about it. Like, I think every time you choose a person, I think loyalty is number one.
Yeah.
And obviously, you look for professionals. Okay, so let's say like in a professional context, when you're looking for a social media content creator, you don't need a loyal mathematician for that position. So let's just put it into its place. But you do have to have the right knowledge, but with the just humbleness. People have to have the same character. At the same time, they have the willingness to learn. When they commit mistakes, they have to be able to admit that. So there's no place for egos, especially when you're building a business. If it's full of egos, your business will fail. All these kind of things. But I think it's a kind of, they should be your friends, but they shouldn't be your friends. It's a big family where you will be supporting each other, inshallah, for a long time. And that's what you want. That's what you're looking for.
Inshallah. Definitely. And I completely agree with everything you said. And I want to ask you, because this is a question that I had on my mind, and it's, well, let's say you're hiring for a position such as a social media manager. Would you prioritize more the values and their passion for the brand and for what you're doing, or the knowledge and their skills? Like, for example, candidate one has like an amazing experience with social media, but they're impartial to your purpose and your brand. But someone else loves what you're doing, wants to be part of it, but they don't necessarily have the skills. Who would you prioritize?
Well, obviously the one who has the passion for it, because that person will learn very fast.
Got it.
And because you're passionate about something, you're going to make things happen. If you're not passionate about it, you just go home and you forget about whatever you were working on. And those are not the people to build with. And you're looking for other people who want to build with you, and you want to stay with you on your journey, and they want to help you build, and they come up with ideas, and they are also intrigued to come up with ideas, and they want to grow, and they are curious. You want this curiosity, you want this energy around you as well, where you don't feel alone at the end of the day, because as an entrepreneur, you're always curious, you always want to know more, you always have the feeling that you have no idea, and you have to kind of like learn, and you have to look for different other people who would teach you something.
Yeah,
that's
true.
And I think if you're surrounded both, so the people who are curious, that they are fast learners. They will be fast learners. Obviously, they have to have the set of skills, but curiosity takes you far, and passion takes you even further, and diligence, above all, takes you really, really far. But the combination of all this.
100%. And I think that's essentially how I make my decisions based on hiring. And I think that is how everyone should make it, because sometimes we get lost in, making sure we have the best person in terms of their experience, and they're going to absolutely crush it in the position, but then they join and they're not passionate about it. So they kind of do their work, and when it's done, it's done. And they just, as you mentioned, they leave and they disconnect. Whereas someone that's passionate can learn what they need to learn, and they can also bring contribution, which I think is so important. And I think that is one thing as entrepreneurs that we need other people to bring new ideas to the table. We don't just want people to come and work. We're not this big company where we have specific roles. We want people to come in and bring new ideas and bring their own perspectives on how to grow the brand, how to grow the business. I think that's so important.
Exactly. And I think, entrepreneurs stay young forever because you stay curious. And I think if you surround yourself with people, no matter what age, but with the same kind of curiosity, you keep each other young as well. And you keep each other, you'll keep on learning. You keep on inspiring each other. You keep on looking for things that inspire you. You keep on adding things into the whole journey of discovery, let's say. And I think that's the only way to create the team that will, make wonders, literally.
Definitely, 100%. I want to ask you right now. Yeah, go ahead.
No, please. I just want to really, in addition, I just really have to say, like, I have an amazing team. I have an amazing team from coming from literally Lebanon. One of the ladies who was, she's not with us. She was an intern. But the moment when the bombings were happening in Lebanon, she was with us and doing the social media. And, it was, we had people from Iran when they were closing, working with us, when they were closing down the internet because of the coronavirus. We had, even in these days, we have been working with people from all over the world. And literally, we've been connected with everything happening around them as well. So it does become a bit of a family. and it does become also an extended family where you kind of like, come back to each other again. And I'm sure that even if the years will pass by, we will all remember each other, even if we would not be working together, but we will be somehow connected. And I think that's what it is about at the end of the day, because if you have anybody working with you, and I can teach even a tiny bit, and they will take it along their journey and they can benefit from it, I'm already extremely happy, because I have had the possibility to contribute to someone else's business or life or whatever circumstances they are in, and I think entrepreneurship is also mainly about giving. You want to go and, you are a go-getter at the end of the day, but you want to make sure that you are not a taker, you are a giver.
That's so important. That's such an important shift in perspective and a shift in mindset that we need to adopt. And I completely agree with you in that if you're truly building a culture and a team the right way, then it should feel like a family that's all on this journey together to grow. And yes, sometimes people won't be the right fit eventually, and you might have to change members. Some of them might move on to other places, and they might just move on to another career path or another business, and that's completely okay. But when you nurture that, they will always have a positive experience about your business and your brand and working with you. And I think that's so important at the end of the day.
Agreed. Totally agree.
Definitely. So I want to talk about something as well that I wanted to bring up, and it's with Noor and Zafir, and it's you guys are creating a Muslim lifestyle marketplace. You have products. Now, let me ask you, because we have a lot of Muslim entrepreneurs here that listen to this podcast that, will listen on Spotify or watch on YouTube. What is it that you look for when accepting new brands on your platform? Let's say someone is curious about joining the platform. They want to be part of it. What is it that they should keep in mind in terms of your criteria, who you accept?
Okay, so it's very simple, and the platform is very easily accessible. There's only one real important thing for us that counts, is that the company has to be professional. Professional, it doesn't mean that you have to be a big company. You just have to be taking your business very seriously. You get an order, you have to deliver. You make pictures, they have to be high quality pictures. So in every aspect of your company, you have to have a professional attitude. And then it doesn't matter if it's a single person running a company, or it's a medium-sized business, or it's a large business. They all have to have this in common, this quality in the product, quality in the service. And above all, the products have to have Islamic values. Yeah. So that's, I think that's all about it. And most probably all these, especially when it is tailored for modern Muslims, then it does have a bit of a modern design. Let's put it that way.
Beautiful. And so,
but I think quality above all, that's the most important.
And that makes complete sense. I mean, you wouldn't want a brand again, because a lot of people will be like, yeah, I'm starting a product business, and then they open up a drop shipping store and they copy paste the photos and they think, okay, this is good enough. But what you're looking for is really people who are 100% all in on their business and want to deliver something of value that is unique, that is beautiful, that is modern, and to serve their customers to their best ability.
Yeah, exactly. I think you put it with very beautiful words, but this is exactly what it is. Somebody who is committed to what they do already makes, that's the quality we are looking for. Yeah. In the service, definitely. And in the product, obviously it has to be, again, the more unique, the better, because there are so many niches within the Muslim lifestyle market. There is so many nice, interesting products and possibilities of new products that I think if somebody really is looking for companies to start and products to do, I think they should just really look around and not start a hijab shop, because there's, I think, millions of them already, but there's so many other things that they can do. And I'm sure that there is consumers out there who are looking for that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this market is a growing market, the Muslim consumer market. And I think the more products we can bring that tailor to it, as you mentioned, not just the ones that we're used to, like hijabs, but innovative new products, the more we can, cater to that market and prove to consumers and even to, I would say, big box corporations and retailers that this is a market that is worth serving and that has lots of potential. And you're doing that. And I pray that you will be the leader in that, inshallah. Now, I want to ask you, are you accepting new providers, new retailers onto your platform right now? If someone listening to this is like, you know what, I think I meet that criteria, how should they apply? Are you accepting new people right now on your platform?
Definitely. On a daily basis, we have quite a number of companies every day from all over the globe. So we are open to new registrations. It's very simple. You go to the website, www.nourzafir.com, and register as a seller. So you register as a seller, you go through the procedures, you have a check. Our team will check whether, your company website or your Instagram. You don't necessarily have to have a website, but you can even have an Instagram page or an Insta shop. But if these criteria are fulfilled, what we can see and in the communication that we do have with you, obviously you will be submitted, and within a couple of days you can start your store and launch your business on our platform. More than welcome. So we are definitely welcoming new businesses, and the more the better. Give a lot of choices of amazing Muslim products.
Beautiful. I want to ask you, what is the vision for Nour and Zafir right now? Because I know you have a magazine that you're working on that is launching soon, inshallah. So is there anything else you're working on? Can you tell us about the magazine and about your future vision for the brand?
So we have, during this journey of meeting a lot of entrepreneurs, creating new brands, we have also met a lot of content creators. And during this journey, we have also discovered that there is a lot to tell. And there are already a lot of magazines out there. There's already a lot of platforms out there. But we have thought, I think there is not really one that looks just simply at lifestyle. And I don't want to say that we want to be the Vogue or the Harper's Bazaar. I don't have those, that's not exactly the ambition we have. But we want to create something that is not political, not heavily religious. Obviously, we have Islam as the common ground. But we don't want to focus on religious issues or political issues in our magazine. So we want to eliminate that and keep all the everyday stuff, which can be traveling for Muslims, kids, parenting, marriage, influencers, any kind of lifestyle topics, all those kind of things we embrace in the magazine. So it's going to be, amazing recipes. There is no other religion. Culture is so diverse as Islam. So I think there's a lot of recipes to share. It doesn't matter from which part of the world someone is. There will be always someone out there who has amazing stories to tell, whether it's about traveling or showcasing extraordinary Muslims in business, or setting up organizations, or just helping other people in the community. I mean, we are just going. We want to make it very accessible. We want to have the help to create the positive narrative, but from within, simply. And whoever wants to join us in this journey is also welcome to join. We are always looking for content contributors, videographers, whoever has a story to tell, more than welcome.
That's beautiful, mashallah. And as well with this, do you know when it's going to be launching, when people can expect to subscribe, to follow the magazine? And also, where should someone go if they want to publish content and be part of it?
Okay, so it's again on the same website, nourzafir.com has a section below the Muslim Lifestyle magazine. You can already click on it, and there are a couple of articles. We haven't launched it officially. There's some tiny little bit details that we want to finalize, and I think within a week we will go live. So it's almost there. It's
Beautiful.
Almost out there. And we have amazing content contributors from all over the globe who are writing on all these topics. So whether it's spirituality, somebody sharing a spiritual journey that they have, or somebody sharing about parenting as a professional or a non-professional. There are all different kind of people contributing already to the magazine.
That's awesome, mashallah. That's beautiful. And I'm excited to hear about this and to know about this and be part of it as well. And definitely, hopefully help you guys in terms of growing this and putting the word out there. So guys, you heard it yourself. If you are a content creator, then go and check out nourzafir.com and participate and create and publish content. And if you are someone who instead sells amazing, unique products that cater to Muslims, also check out their website and make sure to drop your application. Now, I want to ask you one of our final questions that we ask our guests before we dive into our Q&A, where we take some questions from our live audience. Now, this is one that I like to ask every single guest that I have on this podcast. And it's, if you could meet Marta from 17 years ago when she just started on her journey of entrepreneurship, she didn't know where she was going just yet. Maybe she wasn't Muslim just yet. I'm not sure when it is that you converted, but I want to know, what is one thing that you will tell her to help her on this journey, to maybe something that she can hold on to? Is there something that you could tell her?
This is a difficult one. I think I remember other people were telling me, slow down, but I think I never slowed down. I never listened to that. And if it's, I always stayed curious. I always stayed, when you're passionate about things, there is no slowing down. There is no, that you're just, I don't know, you're just incredibly motivated to find new ways. And I think I've always had that. And I always had that as a child as well. And I remember that in school, I had that already, even if I was never thought I would become an entrepreneur. I think I was not even conscious of what an entrepreneur was really, I was surrounded by intellectuals and I was surrounded by, very knowledgeable people. So maybe I thought I would become a psychologist, or I would become, something like that, but not an entrepreneur. But 17 years ago, I think the only thing I obviously, when you are young in general, the world is so big, there is endless possibilities. But I think I would rather say I would rather have to an advice to the older ones in general, to say, like, never lose that childish curiosity, never lose that childish attitude in life, to keep on figuring things out and questioning things, and curiosity and solutions and putting things together. I think that's the only thing I think I still have, and I hopefully always will have, inshallah.
Inshallah. And I think that is such an important quality to have as an entrepreneur. And you mentioned that people were telling you to slow down and you never did. And I think I can relate to that. And I don't think you should. I think you should always speed up. But that's my opinion. That's my personal opinion. A lot of people will disagree with me on that. It's funny because we had 2 episodes ago, we had this discussion surrounding work-life balance. And I was obviously the one rooting for kind of, it's a bit hard to achieve work-life balance as an entrepreneur. For me, it's not, you'll never get 100% balance. So it's about what is your priority, right? But some people will disagree with me on that. I mean, what's your opinion on that, real quick? I mean, if we talk about work-life balance, do you feel like it's achievable as an entrepreneur?
It's a difficult one. It's a very difficult one. I think because, being a boss means also that it's your responsibility. Whatever happens is your responsibility. So at the end of the day, you have to keep on checking it all the time. Whoever does what, you are the one who will just be the one who makes sure it has been done the way that you wanted to, have it. Unless you have a multi-billion company and you are, you are not actively involved in day-to-day business. But as long as you are involved in a day-to-day business, I think there's no other way. I have never met an entrepreneur who has not been 24/7 busy with the business. The only thing you have to do is, because you want to keep your family and you want to also give to your family and be with your children and your husband and all the other ones around you. So you just have to once in a while make time. And maybe making time sounds like it doesn't have to be, 24 hours in one go. But if you just keep on giving attention to the people around you, and whenever you give attention, it's full attention. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
You are 100% with them. You will not pick up your phone. You will not check your messages. You just put that away. You switch off and just be with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only way, even if it's for an hour or even if it's for 10 minutes, if somebody gives you full attention, that's worth a life, And I think if you can just give that, because people the closest to you, those are the ones who are supporting you all the way along. There's nobody else doing so much than your own family. I think you definitely have to give them at least a bit of your attention, and as much as you can, obviously.
Definitely. I completely agree. And I think what you said is bang on, which is it's about the quality, not necessarily the quantity. And to make sure that quality is there. The focus is there, the attention is there. 100%.
Yes.
Completely agree with that. And so let's dive into some audience questions before we wrap up, guys. So for all of you watching right now, if you have any questions for Sister Marta, if you have questions about Nour and Zafir, about their platform, about e-commerce, about Muslim lifestyle as a brand, or even in terms of content, if you have questions about their future, their vision, anything at all, I want you to drop it in the comments right now for our Q&A portion. We're going to start with one that came in a little bit earlier from our audience. We touched upon it slightly in the podcast, but I'd love to get your answer once more on this. And we have a viewer. Let me see if I can pull up the comment real quick here. And she says, a beautiful comment. She says, "Thank you for sharing your experiences. I'm inspired." And her question is, when hiring effective people to work with, what are your top tips? I find this process at times lengthy and overwhelming. So when hiring effective people to work with, what are your top tips? Do you have anything more to give her?
Well, it is, you've got to, whenever you announce that you're looking for people, you will get a lot of answers. So you have to filter, and that takes time. So the better your description is, with the most criteria you can think of, the fastest you can select to start with. And even though people will react to no matter what you ask, they would be reacting even if they would not be a match, you will know that. But you will, because you already know very well what are the criteria from your side, you will be very, very quickly knowing that is this a match or not? So the selection procedure will go just very fast. And obviously you have to probably just choose the ones that are 100% your match. And then you will always have people who you have doubt about because of the CVs. And what we have said earlier is a CV can be an amazing, well-written CV, but the person behind it is not the one you're looking for. So you always have to take that in consideration, that you might have an amazing CV, but maybe that's not going to be the person who you're going to hire. Maybe somebody with a lesser CV will be the one for you. So always take care of those ones who you might think it could be a match. Let's give it a try. And obviously you have to be, selective enough to not to end up with 100 interviews. So try to narrow it down to maybe 10, but keep those ones in there who might not have the most appealing CVs.
Yeah. And just to share my personal experience, I mean, we recently hired a social media manager with Ummahpreneur, and we ended up going with the person with the least experience, but he was the most passionate, and he was, the most enthusiastic about the brand and about what we did and the purpose behind Ummahpreneur. And so that's who we went with. And alhamdulillah, it's been amazing so far. I haven't regretted it at all. And it just goes to show the testament of what you're saying, which is, a lot of times the right fit won't be the one with the greatest CV. It's going to be the one that has the most passion, that has the most ambition behind what you do, behind your business.
Exactly. And maybe just going back to this, maybe a tiny tip. You can also ask someone, there's like this old-fashioned motivational letter. You don't necessarily want that, but you just want them to write a couple of sentences about, like, why do they want to join you? Yeah. Just simply that. And that will already show the personality of someone. By reading those answers, you will know whether, to interview this person or not.
Yeah. A screening process is absolutely key. I mean, it's a requirement, or else you won't even know who to interview. So build out a form, write down all these questions, have some that are relating to values, some that are relating to qualification, and send it to the candidates that you think would be a good fit, and that helps you screen them out. And make sure to include the questions that Marta just gave you because there's some gold in there. Now we have one more question here from the audience. It's, what is the one inherent skill any entrepreneurial spirit must have? So that's an interesting question. I kind of asked something slightly in the same line, but I want to know, is there a different answer we can give here?
Well, I think we have a little bit answered this question already.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, I think the most important thing is as an entrepreneur, because I mean, I would like to ask that person back, are you an entrepreneur or are you thinking about becoming one? Because if it's the thing I am thinking, if you're the case of I'm thinking about becoming one, then in that case, I would say, are you willing to give up everything you have now? If you say yes to that, then you should start the journey of becoming an entrepreneur. If you're not ready for yet, then it doesn't matter what kind of skills an entrepreneur needs to have, but maybe you are not ready yet. And I think that's maybe the question to ask yourself.
Yeah. And that's great advice. 100%. Definitely great advice. We got one more that I'm going to squeeze out of you since we have a little bit more time. So if that's okay with you, I'm going to have one more from the audience. We have questions coming in nonstop. So I'll make sure that we get to a few, inshallah. So this one is, who would you recommend to supply, produce my product? So there's actually 3 questions in one. So let's see if we can go through them and see which one we want to answer. So who would you recommend to supply, produce my product? So this is a vague question. So let's see what the others are. Does your platform serve worldwide? That's a good question that we can answer pretty quickly. Does it serve worldwide right now?
Yes, it does. It does. We have sellers from all over the globe, and we have consumers from all over the globe. So, and obviously as a seller, since on our platform, you can as a seller decide so the orders come through us to you as a seller. So you are going to be deciding which country you want to ship to and which you are not.
So then based on the country of the person on the platform, you'll be able to show them the brands that will ship to that area.
Exactly. So whenever a new brand joins us, it's also they're free to decide on which countries they are shipping to. There's no obligation you have to be able to ship worldwide or you have to do certain things. No, there's none.
Okay, beautiful. So that answers that. We got one more question in there that's packed in. It's, if I have a new product, would you recommend I obtain patent on it before selling it, or should just start selling? What's your answer on that?
Well, I think it depends on what kind of product it is, because a patent is usually expensive, and a patent is usually something which is related more to inventions than, you can register your trademark. That could be but depends on what kind of product you have, so you might have maybe something scientific, or it's literally an invention, then you have to register a patent. And that's definitely highly advisable, because otherwise your idea would be stolen and your idea could be copied. Then I would say yes, do it. If not, it's a trademark registration that you're supposed to do.
Beautiful. And I think that's a straightforward answer.
Maybe I'll go back to the first question, which is who would you recommend to supply, produce your product? First of all, I would need to know what product you're talking about, because since we don't know what the product is, it's very difficult to say, but feel free to approach me. I'm sure, Abby, you have somehow, yes. I'm not so sure how, but I am more than happy to answer all the questions afterwards, and people can just reach out to me. And if you want to elaborate more your question, I'm happy to help.
Beautiful. Awesome. Yeah, you heard it right here. And in terms of supplying, as you mentioned, it's a big question, and it's so specific based on what you're supplying. I really like, what product are you trying to serve? And based on that, who makes the best version of that, and how much do they charge? What are the suppliers available? There's so much intricacies that fall into that question that there needs to be a bit more elaborated. But I would say as well, just to kind of complement what you answered, Marta, and it's that based on, first figure out what is it that you want to build. So what kind of store do you want to build? What do you want to offer as a product, right? Who do you want to serve in terms of your niche? And then once you have that fully mapped out, then you can go and look for the best suppliers to provide you with those products. You can do quality testing. You can order from different suppliers, a few samples, see which one is the best, and then really pick the best one and then place those orders. And I think that's going to be an entire process, right? So make sure that you first start at square one, which is the foundation. Who are you serving? What do you want to provide? And then go from there. just to complement what you answered, Marta, as well. And I'll make sure that all the comments are there so that we can come back to them later, inshallah. So I think that's enough questions for this episode because we're running out of time, but I really wish I could ask you more. So hopefully maybe in the future, inshallah, I know you guys are working on, I want to give a little bit teaser. You guys are working on something pretty big for next year, early next year. We're not going to reveal what it is yet, but maybe we can bring you back on, inshallah, once it's released to hype it up a little bit more.
I think it's a very good idea. Shall I just maybe say one tiny thing about it?
Please, yeah, go for it.
Shall I? Yeah, okay. So we are working on actually one of our dream projects, which is a Muslim lifestyle event. And since everybody is online, we are going to do it online. So we don't have to travel and cross the oceans anymore to be able to listen to amazing people. We try to bring it together on one platform, which will be live stream, all the talks, the panel discussions, the workshops that we're going to host. And it's going to be all about lifestyle, very accessible, very like literally everyday topics that I think everybody will be interested in. We have an amazing team working on it already, a huge amount of contributors who have agreed on participating and hosting shows and giving live demos, workshops about many, many things. So it's going to be a really amazing event, I have to say, yes, because it's done by amazing people from all over the globe. So all the speakers are bringing a piece of themselves and a piece of their business, and they're going to showcase it. They showcase their knowledge, they showcase their expertise, and all these people will be available for whoever is visiting the event. Everybody's details are there, so you can, whether you want to learn about certain things after the event, I think the event will be just the beginning of another journey towards learning more, towards maybe finding out more about yourself or figuring out how to manage your marriage better, and share your ideas, share your worries, share your questions with other people like you in the community. So this is what we are aiming for. It's going to be in February. The event, the dates will be revealed very soon, so please keep watching our space on Instagram, Facebook, and on our website. We will be announcing it very soon, and I'm sure Abi will somehow come back to this again.
Inshallah, definitely. And I'm definitely going to release it in the group and everywhere once it's fully launched and the date is set. And so maybe we can even bring you on closer to the date, inshallah, back on this podcast to talk about it, to talk about the event and all that exciting stuff that's happening. So I'm sure we'll do that as well. And for everyone watching, where can they go to follow you guys, to support you guys, to make sure that, you know, they want to join your platform or post content? I know you mentioned nourzafir.com. Is there anywhere else that we can send them? Social media, Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, it's like everything at Nour Zafir.
Okay.
Just simply, and it's also on the website, so you can just go to the website nourzafir.com and click on any of these icons and links, and you will be redirected to those platforms. We are mainly active. I think we are mostly active on Instagram, kind of active on Facebook, not that much, and all the other platforms are maintained, but we are not extremely active. So I think Instagram is our home. Let's say.
Got it, guys. So you heard it right here. Instagram at Noor and Zafir, NoorAndZafir, and nourandzafir.com. Marta, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast, for taking the time to do this. And I know we had a little bit of issues with the video today, guys, but the audio was 100%. So I hope you still enjoyed it, got amazing value. I know I did. And inshallah, we'll make sure to bring her back on to share more of her insight in the future. Thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure.
And thank you so much for the opportunity. It was definitely a pleasure. And I'm just so happy that you, Abi, you are out there and you're nurturing this community, because I think it's so much, there's so much need for this. And you're doing a great job. And I know that, your weekly podcast is definitely something that will grow, inshallah. And you will be, the next generation of entrepreneurs will be under your wings.
Inshallah. We honestly pray for that, and we hope that we can help nurture that movement. And that is literally the purpose behind everything we do. So I thank you for that. And I thank you for being part of it and joining me and helping me on this journey, sister. So I'm sure we'll be in touch again, and our audience will have more of you and your content, inshallah, in the future. So thanks again. Take care, guys. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Wa alaikum salam. Thank you.